Peak game. It's time for me to do my picks for the Eastern Conference semifinals and the picks for the Suns and Nuggets. Excuse me. I almost said Suns and Lakers. My dumb ass. Anyways, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do a part two to this because the Kings and Warriors series is going to a game seven. So, but I mean the Suns and Nuggets play tonight. So, with that being said, it's time for me to do my picks on each one. I'm gonna do the Nuggets and Suns first. This game, this series is gonna be very interesting. I think home court advantage is going to have definitely have an impact because, in my opinion, Denver has the best home court advantage in the NBA because Denver is at such a high altitude. Um, and then if you look at the Suns, I know the Suns aren't that deep on the bench, but usually in the playoffs you only go about 7, maybe 8 deep on your bench in the playoffs. And we all know Devin Booker and KD and even CP3, they do have, injury. They do have like an injury history. Especially Chris Paul. He seems to get hurt at the most unopportune time. But I do think this is going to be a fantastic series. Joker, MVP candidate, probably would be possibly be a 3-time MVP. But Joel Embiid did ball also, and Joel Embiid plays better defense. So on that, we'll wait. It'll definitely be a wait and see on that. But having said all that, I'm I'm going to go with the Suns in 7. I do think the Suns can split between game 1 and 2. In my opinion, I think the Nuggets, especially with like they both had the same amount of rest. Excuse me, but that altitude, them being in Denver and practicing in Denver, probably much longer than the Suns have uh, currently in this playoffs. But I do think, barring injury, obviously, I do think the Suns are just more talented. I mean, we've seen Devin Booker go off because of the space and the gravity KD creates because he's almost unguardable. Um, and on the Suns, I mean, not the Suns, excuse me, on the Nuggets, you got Joker, one of uh, the best passing big man in the league currently. And man, this is going to be interesting. I do think this is going to go 7. The shortest I think is going to go is 6, but I'm going to go with 7. And looking at talent for talent, each team, I'm not going to say they're great defensive teams. I do think the key for the Suns to win this will be Aiden's motor. Can he slow down the Joker? Can he slow him down? And Booker, I don't think Booker's going to go off as much as he did against the Clippers because I think he's going to be tasked with guarding Jamal Murray. If this was CP3 2, 3, even 4 years ago, nothing to worry about on that end. But having said all of that, saying the Nuggets definitely have a deeper bench than the Suns, in my opinion. But having said all of that, I am rolling with the Suns in 7. And the reason I'm rolling with them in 7 is because they have the best player on the court, and the gravity he creates is really it's very difficult to come up with a game plan. The only thing you can really do is just be physical with him. But you still have Booker. And if Aiden's motor is actually going continuously in this series, he can definitely be an X factor. And then Cameron Payne is coming back from injury, backing up CP3, and he can add some balance to as a backup point guard. I know Jamal Murray is a beast in the playoffs. I know this. I know Joker who he is, but I just feel like the talent, that starting 5 for the Suns is better than the starting 5 for the Nuggets. Even though I think the Nuggets bench is better, but sometimes you don't want to depend on your bench too much, especially when it gets deeper in the playoffs. So you know what? I'm rolling with the Suns 7 games. Now for the next series, I'm gonna do this one first. Boston and Philly. I think this is a heavyweight fight. You know, um, Joel Embiid, monster, had a beast of his season. Got another scoring title. Plays defense, can shoot the three. Great movement. He's definitely, he's definitely added, refined his game a lot more. And I do think because Harden is being more like a pure point guard for the team, I think that does help take some of the pressure off of him to have to deliver. Maxey, Tyrese Maxey is definitely the X factor for this team. I would say Tobias Harris, but even though he's had games, he's flashed. I think that Game 4 against the Nets, you saw a sighting of him. I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm not saying that, but I just feel like he's way too inconsistent. For my taste, for him to be a X factor. And for Boston has got a good bench. They play defense. They got two solid two-way players in Brown and Tatum, and they got a good coach. He kind of picked up where Udoka left off. Although Boston's defense has dipped compared to what they were playing like on the defensive side of the ball last year. They also got the 6th man a year in Brogdon. This is going to be a tough one, man. This one's a little difficult for me to pick because this one I can see going either way. I really do. I think this going either way. I think both teams are match up well against each other. I think it's going to be definitely a slugfest. To quote Jim Ross from WWE, a slobber knocker. But man, this one's hard. I could see Philly winning, but I might have to roll with Boston. Man, this is hard. I'm gonna roll with Boston because they're good on the road and they seem to play motivated on the road. I would not be surprised if Philly won this series. And the other problem I do have with Philadelphia is just because James Harden has had a lot of bad playoff performances in series and things of that nature. And I mean, it's basically a part of the resume. But this is a time for Harden to like update his resume and shut the doubters up, including myself. However, man, I just feel like, man, it's tough, man. I'm gonna slightly roll with Boston. This one to me is a coin flip. But Boston has to play inspired. If they played like they did against the Hawks, I would not be surprised to see Philly give them the broom treatment. So that's gonna be a great series in my opinion, man. I think every game is gonna be relatively close. It's going to be a very entertaining series. And for the last one I'm doing, the one I thought would never happen. I mean, I had the Bucks going into the finals, but Mike Budenholzer is one of the worst coaches in the league that had a playoff team. Oh my Lord, man. I can't believe that collapse, man. I can't believe how they just folded like that. That was Mike Budenholzer need to be fired. But anyways, let me get off of that because I don't want to go on a rant about Mike Budenholzer as a coach. But Miami and the Knicks. I did do an apology video to the New York Knicks because I was being petty and kind of brushing them aside. I'm like, yo, you guys should have gotten Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, they made the right decision to get damn, what's that dude's name? Brunson. My bad. I be forgetting names sometimes. Getting Jalen Brunson. They made the right decision on that one, and it shows. Tom Thibodeau, defensive mastermind. The fact that three of the 4 games they won, the Cavs scored less than 100 points. That is insane, especially in this league when, you know, the three ball, with the three ball and the loosening of the defensive offensive and defensive rules and making offense more potent. And the fact that the Knicks were able to hold them under 103 times, man, that was incredible, man. I gotta tip my hats off to the Knicks, man. You know, and the Heat, the one of the biggest upsets I've seen in a long time. It's probably up there to level with when Denver beat Seattle with that famous moment with Mutombo holding the ball. That was a great NBA moment. But man, and also man with Miami going off, like Jimmy Butler going off the way he did, that was insane. And the fact the Bucks in that series did not make no changes, just let him get in a rhythm. I do not think the Knicks will be doing that. If Jimmy Butler starts getting hot, you're going to see some double teams, get the ball out of his hands and things of that nature. With Tyler Hero being out with a broken hand, and I know Jimmy Butler is one of the better playoff performers, and it seems like he's just an all-star level player in the regular season, and then he just turns it up in the playoffs. It's kind of like crazy to see. I think he scores 7 more points per game in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. That's ridiculous. Yeah, this one's going to be, I do think it's going to be a tough series because Miami and New York are rivals, that rivalry being renewed. Having said that, I think Tom Thibodeau is a better coach than, I think a better coach than Budenholzer was. And I don't think he's going to be, and Thibodeau does make good adjustments, especially for on the defensive side. Having said that, you know what, New York, I'm going with you got. I'm going with the Knicks in 6, man. I just feel like the fact I think New York has more options. They can score, and honestly, they can hold teams to a low scoring output. You know, I know both teams are great defensively. Both coaches are great. I mean, Eric Spoelstra is an all-time great NBA coach, but I think the fact that Jimmy Butler is like your main shot taker, main shot maker, and you don't have like another guy that can kind of offset that consistently like Hero can. I think the injury is going to be too much for Miami to overcome, man. I mean, I know, I'm not sure about Randall's health. I know he sprained his ankle. I'm not sure he's out for the series, but even if he was, I just feel like the Knicks have enough to be able to take down Miami. And they got home court advantage also. And man, Madison Square is going to be buzzing. But that's going to be fun, man. That's going to be an interesting series, man. So that's what I'm rolling with, man. I'm going with the Suns in 7, going with Boston in 7, and I'm going with the Knicks in 6. And whichever team wins between the Warriors and Kings, I'll see how that turns out and let me sleep on it a little bit. So there'll be a part 2 to it. So everybody be easy. Deuces.